Alright, for this video I want to show you how to set up a Triton 2000. The 2000 is the later model, so then they had various models. There's a Mark III, which is the older one. I'll show you another video of that later, but yeah, I'll just do a quick rundown. Now, these are, for me, the most versatile workbench. I haven't seen anything else like it. You can get them off Marketplace or eBay or Gumtree or whatever your Craigslist. These are a crosscut saw. They can rip. You can do anything on it. I swear by them. And yeah, just want to give you a quick rundown because they are a little bit older now. They're not manufactured anymore. And if you look after them, you'll get a lot of life out of them. Now, the first thing you're going to need is a good saw. Don't take my recommendations about what a good saw is. This is Hitachi. It is a 8-inch, but I've actually taken the safety guard off it and put a 10-inch blade on it. Now, I should do a safety warning. If you don't use these machines with care, you're going to lose your fingers. Okay, so please be careful. Alright, so there's different sleds. This here is the sled. And if you're going to use it as a crosscut saw, it actually goes up and down in the channels here. And the other thing, when you flip, it flips over and you can lock it in and use it as a ripping saw. But first, most important is setting up the saw and locating it in the right spot. So I'll just give you a quick demonstration. So when you flip this over, the blade is going to be sticking up here, as you can see, and that blade is going to come through here. Exactly. So I am going to suggest you do a little bit of trial and error. So I'll show you how the saw goes in. If you don't have any of these bolts, wing nuts and brackets, you can make up your own, or just make large washers or something like this. But this is how I take it out. I'll take it right off, and then you can actually see it's got a locating bracket under here. So there's about a 1/2 mil gap in there, and because I use this saw commonly, I take it out and lift it up. So this is how you take it out, and so these are little brackets here that lock it in. Excuse me, I'll just pick up this wing nut. So now, because this has actually been set up, you'll find that it's as close as what I'm going to get it. So I'll just do this up, and before I flip it over, you're going to notice this thing here. This actually came from Triton. You don't have to buy one. You can use a cable tie, you can use rubber band, you can use your own Velcro strap, but what that does is locks the trigger in. Okay, so once you got this all set up, you lock the trigger in, and then down the front here is your on and off switch. So you can turn it on there, and then you just knock that with your knee to turn it off. So it's a pretty good setup there. And this guard here goes in and out. It doesn't really matter, it's just to protect you. And so what I've done is I've turned the sled over, and you can see these little locating pins here have to be locked in, and then you can slide it into position. So it goes about there. Now I'm going to have to put the phone down because I'm going to lift the table on, and I'll show you how that locks in. Alright, so I've just set the tabletop on, and I want to show you a couple of things under here. There's a beam that goes across the table here, and what you do is you're going to line it up so that it locks in to there. Okay, and that will stop the sled going backwards and forwards. So I'll just put it down, and as you put it down, you're going to notice that the blade comes through. Now if you've got it set up perfectly, the blade's going to be in the middle of this sled. Now I'll see if I can zoom in really closely, and you can see that it's a very narrow gap and the blade has actually hit the aluminium here a couple of times. That's just going to be par for the course. So let me locate it and I'll show you how to lock it in. So I've just dropped the tabletop down and I'll come and show you under here. You can see how we've got the sled is butted up against the bracket, the supporting bracket that goes across the table saw. Now it does move, so you can move it backwards and forwards, but because all the force of the blade's going this way, it just stops up against there. Now if you want to, you can make a bracket, you can lock it in. You may notice this sled's actually off a Mark III version, so it's okay, it still does the job, and because it's all set up, I haven't actually to change the saw laterally at all, so it's in the right spot. Now something else you can do for safety, you can raise and lower your blade up and down here and lock it in. Alright, so we've got our saw located, the sled located, and then all you're going to do, you've got these little brackets here, you're just going to click it in. Click them in, you have to rob it around like backwards and forwards a little bit just to make sure they're located. And you can see these little arrows here butted up against these grooves. Now, if you don't have any accessories, the most important thing you need for a Triton workbench is a fence. Let me show you how that works. I've got a fence here. So now I will just pull it round and show you. I can't put this all the way in because the blade's up, so you have to put the blade down to slide it in, but I'll show you here. There's a, I'll just get this out the road. So this here is when you move these from side to side, these actually lock in, and what you're trying to do with these here, you're trying to get them in between those little grooves there. So let me give it a go and I'll see if I can show you on camera. So we're going to slide this one in just nice and carefully. That one's in, and we'll go over to this end here and slide it in. Alright, so I'm going to slide it in. What I'm going to do is I'll just lower the blade, and so you can see on this fence it's got 45 angle for cutting 45 degrees, and the back of it here is 90 degrees. So we'll just lower the blade down and move it on to this side, and now you can lock it in just with these here. Now the only problem with this, it won't move, but you can see there's no pressure here. There's nothing on here to actually lock, so this one on this end is actually locking it in. Now you'll see these measurements here, so I'm going to set this a little bit closer to the blade, and this is very important. Okay, so if you've got your saw set up properly and you raise the blade, it's going to come in between this channel, this groove here, and then you put your fence on, and I'll show you how to set up for ripping. Alright, so when you're setting up your saw for ripping timber, you're going to need to get yourself one of these. This is mandatory if you've got one of these Tritons. I'll show you why you can't go off these measurements. So I'll tell you what I've done. I've set the saw at 2 centimeters away from the fence. So I'll just zoom in if I can a little bit. So it's a bit hard to see here, but I've measured it, both the front of the blade and the back of the blade, and they are both as close to 2 centimeters as I can get it. Okay, now let's check the measurements. So down here we have, you can actually see here we've got 410, and it's 2 mils under 410, so that's 408. And if we go to this end, and it's just over 410, so that's roughly about 2.5 centimeters out. Now if you don't move the saw blade, and you want to, all you need to do is just remember that once you're setting these up, if you just remember that this is going to be 2.5 centimeters more than what this one is. Okay, but I'm ripping something that's going to be 2 centimeters wide, but 410 on here absolutely means nothing. Okay, so something else that I'm just going to remind you about, always use a bit of scrap timber to test it first. Whenever you use these the first time, just practice on some scrap timber, and you'll find that this is the most handy workbench that you can get.